So this is my PSA for D.I.N.Ks. Now my crew that's with me, they have no idea what D.I.N.Ks are, which blows my mind, but this is my message for you 30-year-olds out there, and D.I.N.Ks means dual income, no kids. So I like to talk from my own personal experience and things that I've done. And if you've watched any of my videos, you see that I've accumulated or grew a real estate portfolio worth over, well, it's really over $20 million if I include my principal residences. And this is so important for you 30-year-olds because I see you struggling out there. We're in high interest rate environments. You're competing for single family homes that are nice, renovated, new and shiny. Well, I want you to stop doing that. Stop buying the nice, new, shiny, renovated homes because there's a much better way for this to be done. And it's what I personally did. So put you in perspective, I am not a D.I.N.K. I am now 42, turning 43 years old this year, and I now have 3 kids with my lovely wife. So when we started looking for our first home when we were in our mid-30s, so I did a little later than I'm even talking to you guys about, so that's your advantage. But when we started looking for our first house, we were looking, and this was in 2016, so we were looking, houses cost around $1.4 to $1.5 million for a renovated detached in the areas that we were looking in Toronto. So to put in perspective, Toronto proper, these are the areas we're looking at for those on here. Now, what I'm saying can be applied anywhere, but in Toronto looking for these houses. And I'm in the real estate industry, so my income is also attached to the transaction of houses. So I was concerned if something happened to the market, not only would my income be impacted, but the value of this expensive home would be impacted as well. And that caused me some stress. And then I said to Laura, my wife, Laura, I'm like, do we really need our dream home right now? Or what if we bought a triplex? And if you go along with me and we buy this triplex now, in 10 years, you can have your dream home. You can have any home you want in 10 years. And she was on board. So the whole key is when you look at these things, you don't need your forever house at 30 years old. You can have your forever house at 40 years old with no stress. And guess what? I worked out the math for you because this is what I did personally. So if you go and buy a triplex, what you're going to do is you have rental income coming in that's going to offset the costs of the property for you. That's number one. Number two, as I said before, you have these nice, new, shiny, renovated houses. Guess what? Everyone wants that nice, new, shiny, renovated house. So there's huge demand for those, and there's a very, very limited supply of those. That pushes the price up. When we go to the triplexes, they are less desirable. And even where we are in the market today, the multiplex market has not increased in value. Those have went down in value. And the reason for that is we're in a high interest rate environment. So investors, which are the typical buyers for those, aren't really transacting on those. So you can get a discount on the triplex, but the freehold, nice, shiny market, that's come back because of demand, even in this high interest rate environment. So you could buy something that's selling at a premium, or you can get something at the discount. So that's the reason number two. So number one, you're offsetting your costs with income. Number two, you get to buy at a discount versus buying at a premium. And then number three, what you're actually investing in is the down payment for that future home. And bonus number four, I'm going to show you how you can secure your financial future with this. You're actually building your pension plan, which again, if you watched any of my videos, I always preach build a pension plan, build a pension plan. So you can combine the buying of your first house with your financial savings goals if you go for that multiplex property. So I did the math for you. And I did the math specifically to the neighborhood that I live in, because this is the neighborhood that I did it in personally. So again, I have done this. You can ask me any question on this. I know it works because I've lived it. So I live in the High Park neighborhood of Toronto. I found a great comparable triplex on High Park Avenue. Oh, one thing I forgot to add on this. Also that rental income. So before I say the prices on these, because you might get blown away by the prices, that income can also be counted for your mortgage qualification levels. So again, what I did personally, when I bought that house in 2016, I actually bought a house for more than I was approved for, which by the way, you shouldn't do, but I did it. Now I'm a real estate agent. This is the life I live. But why could I do that confidently? Because I knew that I had the extra rental income coming in on the property, which the banks would count and add it to my current income levels to help offset that higher mortgage qualification level. So you can actually get more house by buying the triplex. So but these are selling at a discount now. So the triplex on High Park, beautiful 29 by 200 foot lot. That's huge, guys. 200 foot deep is crazy. You could have got that for 197, just look at numbers, 74. And that has 3 units, 2 3-bedroom units and a 2-bedroom unit. And then also the upside on the property is that the basement is just unfinished. So down the road, you could look at putting a basement rental in there, and I'll talk about that a little more later. But when I worked out the monthly costs and everything like that, and when I factored in the rental income you can generate while living still in one of the 3-bedroom units, so you're living in one of the 3-bedroom units, you're renting the rest of the house out for $5,500 per month, your monthly cost in that is only $3,300 per month. Now, so you're looking at $2.2 million for just a regular single family home, updated, not even fully renovated on the nines, because those were too expensive. But this is something that you would look at. So $2.2 million to buy in the High Park area, single family home, nothing special about the lot, 25 by 120 lot on that. Let's assume you put 20% down. So I didn't mention that previously, but 20% down on the triplex too. So you put 20% down on this property. Your carrying cost on this with no rental income is $9,900 per month, $9,900 per month. So again, I'm paying less for the triplex. I get more house. I get a larger lot, a premium lot, by the way. I'm not gonna go into that rabbit hole, but a premium lot. And by renting out 2/3 of the house, that's only gonna cost me $3,300 per month. Now this is where things get absolutely mind-blowing, because again, this is what I did. Great thing about hindsight, when I get to go forward in the future, I've done these things. So what happens then? Well, you buy this house and then you live in it for 10 years. And when you live in the triplex for 10 years, what you're doing is you're paying down the equity on the property. So not just you, but also the tenants live in the property, they're paying the equity down on the property, so we're reducing the mortgage value on the property. So in 10 years, so we bought that property for 1,974, 10 years of mortgage balance on that will be 1,244 million, so 1.244. But the value of that property, if I do a compounded interest rate at 5% per year, will be $3.2 million. What does that mean to you? Well, in 10 years, I said you could have any home that you want. That's your dream home. Well, what you do then is you refinance on that property. You don't sell it, you refinance. And the rental income generated by that house now will cover off on all the expenses on the house. And now you have the down payment, a significant down payment for that dream home that you want. So if you refinance at an 80% loan to value, so what that means is I put an 80% mortgage on the property, maintain 20% equity. So 80% times 3.2 million, that brings me to, I have over $2.5 million that I can go use to buy another house. But guess what? I still own that triplex. I still own the triplex. So I have my nice, beautiful dream house that I always wanted. I have an asset now, a revenue generating asset that will continue to go up in the future. And we're gonna go over that part in a moment, that pension plan building side. Now, if I would have bought that single family home, all I've been doing is been a slave to the banks trying to pay that property down. That's all I got. I still just have that house, and guess what? It was only updated anyways, so maybe I still have to spend $500,000 doing a full update on that property. So I'm even in worse financial shape, and it wasn't even the dream home that I wanted, so maybe I had to still sell that house, pay realtors a whole bunch of money to do that, and pay the government a whole bunch of land transfer tax to do that. Or I could still have the triplex and then have my dream home at 40, didn't have to pay any realtors, didn't have to pay any additional taxes, land transfer tax or anything like that. And then the bonus part, I have that pension building asset into the future. So crystal ball going in the future. So at 30 years old, we made the wise decision. We bought the triplex. At 40 years old, we're able to refi that triplex, use the money from that triplex to buy our dream forever home at 40 with our wonderful kids. And now I'm gonna go forward another 30 years, you're 70 years old. And you're like, Alex, you're crazy, I'm 30 years old. Why am I gonna think about myself when I'm 70? That's about valuable, the amazing thing about real estate. If you apply time and the scarce asset of real estate, you can build significant wealth. So now we're going, and that's just making one simple decision when you're 30, you can set yourself up for the future, set for life. I fast forward to 70 years old. What happens when I'm 70 years old? Well, over that 30-year period, amortizations are 30 years. That house is now paid off. There is no mortgage anymore on that triplex. And guess what? That house has continued to go up in value at that compounded 5% interest rate per year. And guess what? I've been generating rental income. I didn't pay that property off, the tenants paid that off. So the value of that property, 30 years from that date, Let me just go down. What's the number on that? That's $13.9 million, free and clear, and still providing me rental income on that property. And guess what? I didn't even mention this part. In that 10-year time frame that you own this property, you've made some updates to the property. You added that basement rental unit, so you've increased that rental value as well. So in 10 years, your gross rent, the current rent on that property is $9,000 per month. So today when you're 30 years old, in 10 years, once you make that improvement, add that basement rental apartment, factoring a 5% compounded annual growth rate on rents, you'll be generating $18,700 per month on that triplex. And guess what? I did that too. I already had a basement unit in my triplex, but I was able to add finish off a third floor, which increased the rental value. Everything that I've said here, I've already done and I've already lived. Well, I haven't lived till I'm 70, I haven't done that part yet, but I have bought the triplex, added improvements to the triplex to increase revenue, but simple improvements. Refinanced the triplex, bought our forever home, looked at my portfolio, kept the triplex, fully rented out, costs are covering expenses. If you do these things, not only will you get your dream home, you'll have a revenue producing asset that you can live off of when you retire. It is a no-brainer. So stop looking at the bright, shiny, renovated houses. Go buy a discounted triplex, live in it, and your 70-year-old self, your 40-year-old self will thank you later. And all your friends will be like, wow, how did you accumulate so much real estate wealth? Well, I made sacrifices when I could, when I was 30, when I didn't have kids, and I could live in a basement apartment. You live in a basement apartment for a year, you move up to the second floor with one kid, you will be light years ahead than the people that bought the bright, shiny house. My name is Alex Wilson, broker owner of RE/MAX Wealth Builders Real Estate. If you want to do this method and learn more about real estate investing and how to get yourself ahead, follow me on YouTube at Alex J. Wilson and Instagram at Alex J. Wilson. Let's maximize your wealth and minimize your stress. And while you're doing that, build some financial freedom and generational wealth as well. Talk soon. Bye-bye.